Thank you for staying with us. All right. So, Reverend Fred Abu, before we go into the topic, I would want you to tell our viewers how money even became an integral part of the human society and in our transactions and our dealings with one another. How was money integrated into our lifestyle?
Thank you. This is a very broad question. this question alone, I'm sure should be able to take the whole period
Yeah.
while we are here. When things began with man, if you have to look at the biblical records, you will realize that the first instance where money was mentioned had to do with Abraham.
Okay.
That was the first mention of money. And it was in Genesis chapter 13, verse number 2.
Okay.
And Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. That's all I need. Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Now, when I say the first mention of money, you realize that the earliest man, but before Abraham, there were indications that money was in use.
Okay.
Yes. For Abraham to have been very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold, at that time they were using silver, silver shekels, as a measure for money. And before they came to that, the earliest man was trading. They began as farmers, and they were poultry farmers as well.
Oh, okay.
So they were rearing sheep, goat, cattle, and those things. And you realize that Abraham himself was very rich in cattle.
In cattle, okay.
So his wealth was mentioned in cattle.
Wow.
In silver and in gold.
Okay. So livestock.
Yes, livestock, and then precious metal.
And precious metals.
And so the earliest man, if he was a nomadic person, shepherd, moving cattle and those things around, and he was a traveler, what that meant was that if he had to eat, he had to eat from farm produce.
Okay.
So how was he acquiring produce of the land to eat? And because he had a large contingent of people.
Okay.
And so to be able to eat from the land, he would have to make some exchange. And so the exchange, the earliest times that they were doing what we call commodity exchange. So they were exchanging what they had. If you had a sheep or if you had a cow, you could exchange it for salt or for banana or for something. The question you want to ask yourself is, how much of banana will you want to exchange for a cow? Okay. It will have to be a whole farm.
Oh, okay.
So I was looking at those things, and sometimes you may just want a certain amount of food, because banana is perishable. I'm just using banana as an example.
Sure.
It's perishable, and you want to sell cow, which is basically meat.
Okay.
Somebody may have banana, but he doesn't need meat. And maybe the one who has banana is probably dealing in maize or wheat or in potato, but he doesn't have banana.
So
he's interested. He is interested in meat, and you have meat to sell. But
you don't need what he wants.
Yes. So the earliest commodity trading was through barter.
Okay.
Barter trading, you agree, you exchange, and then you move forward. But it was cumbersome, it was tedious, and it wasn't a very convenient way of trading.
Okay.
And with the coming in of merchants, things speeded up. things were moving very fast because merchants come very fast and then they move very fast from place to place. And so all these things influenced the factors that brought about what we call shekels. So then they began to use precious metal.
Okay.
Initially, they began, initial records actually show that they began with bronze. You know, bronze actually is made from copper and tin. Yeah. They began with bronze. But in using bronze
like bronze
coins, you know that you could always melt it to be used for something else.
Definitely.
Because those precious metal was used for something, another purpose.
Yeah.
So that's why people will allow it to be used for exchange. And then later on, they were able to arrive at a more rational base, the use of shekels. And the shekel was silver. So it was based on weight and then the size.
Okay.
Size and weight. It was a standard measure that was agreed upon. And that's what produced value.
Okay.
It produced value to people. So you realize that Abraham had a lot of silver, gold, and cattle. And so he could acquire whatever he wanted. Even when he wanted to purchase the cave of Machpelah for his wife, for Sarah, when Sarah died, he had to buy it at 400 shekels of silver.
Yeah.
So he purchased it. But then you also realize that when God spoke to Abraham in Genesis 17, and the covenant of circumcision, when it came about, you will realize that God also spoke about all the men in his household that he bought with money.
I see.
Which means there were people in his household that Abraham bought with money. Yes. But on those days, they were trading in men.
Okay.
As slaves. It's not as if God sanctioned it. God didn't sanction slavery. But they were already dealing with it. But when you look at scriptures very well, especially Leviticus and those things, you'll find enough proof to show that God didn't even want any of his people, any Israelite, to be made a slave. That's why he even provided things like the Jubilee and all those things. So Israelites or God's people were not supposed to be in slavery. So things were being bought, and they were using money to buy things.
Wow.
And so that's how they arrive at gold coins and those things. Now, and then in the latter years, when you come to the modern days, as we have it, aside the shekels that they were using to trade in, modern days, like the modern economies as we have it right now, until 1971, the biggest economy in the world, which is the American economy, the dollar was actually supported by gold. So every dollar that is issued was based on actual gold that can be redeemed. It can be gold bars that could be redeemed. But then by 1971, things had started accelerating in the world, such that now the world had to be confronted with a certain question. And developing economies and emerging economies that were growing very fast, must they also be based on gold? What if we don't have enough gold being mined to be able to support the currencies? Yeah, so all those things, those questions, so were asked. So, but 1971, gold supporting dollar as the commodity that actually gave weight to the money was withdrawn. So now money was vested in actually in the possession of the state.
I see.
Yes. So money was vested in the perception, in the size of the size of the economy, the health of the economy, and the perception of people about the state.
Okay.
You know, all gave weight to what constituted money.
Money.
What money was made of, or the dollar.
Okay.
And so we all know that there's a lot of gold in the belly of the earth.
Yeah.
But the question is, do we have enough gold to support all the currencies going in circulation? I'm not too sure whether we have enough gold mined to support all the currencies.
Wow.
So that was what opened up the world economies, and for countries to start growing at accelerated rate. Wow. Otherwise, they will have to wait for actual gold, to possess actual gold before they can release a certain decision. So the question you ask yourself is, are nations then free to just get up and print any money? No, they can't do it, because then there will be oversupply of money. And the health of an economy is dependent on demand and supply issues.
Definitely.
Yeah. And because it depends on demand and supply issue, if you oversupply, it means there will be inflation. So your money will become worthless. So those things now become controlled. So things are now scientifically controlled based on reality. Okay. Based on reality, if you have oil, you know that you have power. Because oil is real. If you have cocoa, you know you have power, because it is real. If you have people who are very skilled, you know, technologically, maybe computers and those things. Okay. You know, like the people who are in Silicon Valley and those things. Now the brain power now has more value in the world right now, even than real commodity.
I see.
Yes. So all those things. So you could bring somebody in whose brain power could be the wealth of a whole nation. Wow. You can talk about people like Elon Musk and co. You know, so right now ideas, the things that have weight are not even gold bars and
shekels of silver,
or oil or cocoa. It's more about ideas and brain power, and ideas which can solve the problems of the world. Wow. You know, so these are the things that are giving more weight to what money constitutes money. Okay. Now, if you look at the current situations now in the world, we basically, universally, we have four types of money. We have four types of money. Okay. We have the commodity money. Okay. And that was the earliest form of trading. And then we have fiat money. Fiat money is money that has been printed. Okay. Just like Ghana, we were using our notes, up to 50 cedi, 20 cedi notes, and then government, all of a sudden, government printed notes, 100 cedi notes, 200 cedi notes. Those are fiat money. And then printed, or they say that this money is issued on statutory authority, and is legal tender for the payment of any amount. Now, if you fail to accept such a money, you could be sent to court and you could go to jail, because it's legal tender, yes, for a sovereign nation. You could go to jail for refusing to accept the money. So that is fiat money. The third form that we have is the fiduciary. We have the fiduciary type of money, and that one basically has to do with things like check. If I write a check for you, let's say I bought a fridge. You don't know me from Adam. Then I write a check and I give it to you. I ask you, do you accept checks? Now, the fiduciary money is not something that is imposed on people. It is optional. Okay, you may decide to accept a check or not, based on how you could trust the person. Definitely. So you are accepting it based on the trust that you have for the person submitting the check. So things like check, banker's draft. Banker's draft, then it means you trust the institution that is bringing the banker's draft. That whatever he has said is able to what? fulfill it, is
Okay.
backing it.
Okay.
So that's fiduciary money.
Okay.
And then the last one is the bank notes. It's the commercial bank notes. The commercial bank notes, those ones are issued in terms of debits. And that one has to do with things like the ATMs. We have the ATMs, credit cards, those things. We have Visa cards, MasterCard, some of those things. So those are the types of money that we have. I think I'll halt here and let the economists tell us more in details about what they think of money.
Very interesting. The way within a few minutes you've taken us through about 6 millennia of the generation of money and the different types of money. Daddy, thank you so much. It's a whole economic school that you've attended.
This is a labor's view.
Okay, so Pastor Fitz, Daddy has given us the overview of the genesis of money and where it has come to. So I want to ask Pastor Fitz. So now with all that Daddy has said, where money started from and where we are now, how did it become? I want you to address the ephemeral part of money there.
Yeah.
The part of money that
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay, let me. For instance, as Daddy said, if I have 2,000 in the bank, and I'm sitting here, the 2,000 is not on me. How did it come to give me the power that I have this 2,000, and then I can just get up and then maybe go and then say I need a phone? I'm not holding the money, but then I believe that the 2,000 can buy the money. Is it something related to the faith that we put in the money, or is, as he said, the legal backing of the money, or how people have come to believe in it, the power, what the money can do? Do you get my question? How did it all merge together? Because
Are you trying to say you are not holding the money?
You are not holding the money.
So how are you making the payment?
I'm trying to ask that, how did it come to for people to believe in it, that this can do this, and then we've now vested that power into the money, though it's just a paper, like the time we started printing the fiats, as you said.
Yeah.
So is it through the generations, or it is because of the legal backing, or it's also a form of faith that we express in our issuance of the money? Am I making sense?
I get it.
Yes, because
it makes sense.
Unless a state is a failed state, it's a banana state, and if a state becomes a banana state, at that time, everybody will have agreed that the money in circulation is worthless. It's like after the Second World War in Germany, inflation was so high that people were actually carrying enough money in wheelbarrows to go and purchase steel.
Yeah, I heard a story like that somebody was carrying money like that.
Yes,
they stole
yes,
the
money.
wheelbarrow,
Yes,
and then left the money.
Yes, some will be flying. They don't even care about those flying. And you
don't count. You just weigh the money.
Yeah, you just weigh the money. So you drive it, and then you estimate some will fall.
The same happened in Zimbabwe.
Yes, Zimbabwe. Everybody was a zillionaire.
Yes.
Interesting.
They are going to buy bread, but you have
billions.
Yes, you have billions.
They are going to just use to buy bread.
Yes.
So it all comes with the power the state invests in it, or is
look, whatever you tell people, you can tell people that this is the face value of it. If the money is worthless in real life, if it is worthless in real life, the economy would decide the fate of the money. Okay. So you can't pretend.
Okay.
You can't pretend. You won't get away with it.
So then going to the fundamentals of what money represents. So you know that money represents fundamentally value.
All right.
So when you talk about money, you are talking about value. So money is a kind of an instrument which is able to exchange value.
Okay.
It's able to store the value. and then it's able to measure what the value is. And so I may walk into Telefonica. I want maybe iPhone. What's the latest? iPhone 11 Pro Max. Yes. And I say I want iPhone 11 Pro Max, and they may have written a price tag of 7,000 Ghana cedis, So that doesn't mean that I can buy the money. What it means is that I can buy the phone. What it means is that is the value they have placed on the phone.
Okay.
In other words, if you have 7,000 cedis, you can exchange it for the phone.
Okay.
So that's the whole idea of money, generally speaking. So the whole issue about money becoming a key instrument is that it's because of the issues of barter, exchange and all of that. If I want goat right now, and then you have Gary, and based on how do you divide it? How do we equate it?
Whether you
Who
give
determines
the head of the goat.
Whether today and Gary is worth this much in relation to goat.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's where the debate, and how do you break it down? How do you say that? How do I say that a sachet of water is 20 pesos, but then a bottle of the same quantity of water is 1 Ghana cedi? So unless someone estimates what the value of the product is or what it is, otherwise, how do we say that data? Can you hold data in your hands?
No.
Data means nothing. What it means is that a network provider, network service provider, has given you access to transmit and receive information, data across networks.
Okay.
You see, so when you say you bought 1 CD data, it just means that they've given you 1 CD worth of access to transmit and to receive
okay,
the data. So basically, that's what money does. And so money helps us to exchange. For instance, I may have a set of skills.
Okay.
You may not have those same skills. So and I also need money to buy maybe toothpaste, rice, butter, eggs, simple things. But then until you purchase my skill,
okay,
in other words, you pay for what I'm offering you. So then the value is placed on my ability to perform the tasks that you are not able to perform, or you are not available to perform.
Okay.
And so these were some of the things that are rules. So money became sort of like the middle ground, negotiating that you are not this expensive, but you are this expensive. So money became a middle ground in telling us that a Lamborghini is $300,000, but let's say a Hyundai Elantra is $20,000. So that's the relationship that money created. So it just created a, like a measuring, ruler. Says that you are. This is how much you are valued. This is how much you are valued.
And as you said, it should be backed by a certain power.
So that's what Daddy has explained.
Perception.
Yes.
So for instance, if somebody created there's Bitcoin, and the other one is it I've forgotten the other the digital money. How do I explain it? Or the Bitcoin kind of the technology, So somebody sat in their bedroom or office, whatever it is, and created something called Bitcoin.
Yeah. And
all of a sudden, because of what it means, it became a store of value. It became an exchange. And we saw many central banks around the world struggling to tell us whether it is legal to use Bitcoin or some other,
exactly.
kind of money, you know. So these are some of the things. So
we call it cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrencies. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. You know, so that's how.
All right.
We
So at the end of the day, the people, the economy, the perception of the people really matter.
Yes.
And then the strength of the economy.
You saw the Bank of Ghana struggling. They were like, don't trade in the early stages. They're like, no, don't trade in this cryptocurrency thing. And people were trading.
Sure.
You know, all they could do was to advise the people. They couldn't come and say, stop it.
Because it was my money I was using to buy.
Yes, it's me, my money.
It's me, my
so
money.
if I throw my money away, it's not your problem.
It's not your, okay.
You know, so but then...
But sometimes they come back and cry, like, you have the DKM money, and then the people come back, and then you have Mess Gold.
Yeah.
You know, then the same people come back, but when they were making profit, they were not consulting Bank of Ghana.
No. Due to Bitcoins, people became millionaires overnight and all that. So...
I was going to say that I read this book by Mervyn King called The End of Alchemy. And Mervyn was trying to unravel the whole mystery of money in the modern day by looking at the issues of, and he would tell you that even the whole central bank system is flawed. It's very problematic.
Okay.
And it's like they are building something on nothing, and everybody believes that there is something. There's
but
actually nothing.
So it's actually the belief of the people that is giving them that power.
But you see,
really?
I wanted to just add this, that the problem Mervyn King was trying to figure out is in the Bible. You see, the problem from the beginning was when the ground was cursed.
Okay.
You see, because once the ground has been cursed, it means that man has to struggle. And once man has to struggle, it means somebody called Cain can kill his brother Abel out of envy.
Okay.
Because at the end, there will be some kind of competition. Somebody will want something that someone has that he doesn't have. So because of all these things, man has to come and find a way to solve
neutralize the whole.
So there's all this struggle, and then there's, you know something, why don't we rather use this? Why don't we try and solve this? Why don't we try and deal with this? And before we realize, nations are being formed. We find out the first nation, Babel. You know, and there's all this back and forth, and now we have this huge caricature on our hands. And we are all trying to figure out how to deal with it. But fundamentally, and like Mervyn King was saying, fundamentally, the issue would always be there. Human beings will want what they want. There must always be some kind of solution.
Okay.
Inadvertently, we know that there is something called mammon. And mammon goes beyond the physical currency.
Okay.
Goes beyond the fiat. It goes beyond
notes.
The notes. It is something that sits deep within the system.
Okay.
That man will want to find a way to meet his needs.
Definitely. Because I'm just thinking about, what if everything was available and anybody could go out and get whatever they want?
Money?
Then what would be the essence of money?
Who needs money?
Yeah.
We all don't need money.
But then the question also arises, how much could you have at a time?
Well.
So, as you said, there would always be that issue.
There would always be that issue.
There would
always, and fundamentally, humanity will always try and find
a middle ground. Yeah.
This Bitcoin thing that we are talking about, people have made a lot of money from that thing. And not just that, it's now one of the major acceptable currencies online.
Yes.
I mean, people use it to buy.
And it cuts across.
It cuts across. And
it's not
even
limited.
Though it has, even when they went to court, now the court said it's money.
Interesting.
The court said it's money. The judge had to say that it's money. We have to rule on the issue that this cryptocurrency thing is money.
Wow.
Meanwhile, it doesn't have a central. So the question was,
Yes.
so where is the central?
It's a fiduciary kind of.
Yes.
So who is the one to be trusted?
Exactly. So that was the thing, and that is where the whole issue of blockchain comes in. The blockchain technology right now is one of the most acceptable technologies when it comes to online money movement. Most of our mobile money transactions that we do is being backed by blockchain. Blockchain was developed from this Bitcoin thing.
Interesting.
Yes, and now they are even trying to find a way to use blockchain in health, in education, in so many things. The only problem with blockchain right now is the fact that it's easier to launder money through blockchain. But then the question with the financial people, which people like Mervyn King will still agree, is that even without blockchain, people are still laundering money.
Yes, with or without it.
With or without it.
That's
so
true.
it doesn't. So because we've not been able to solve the problem, how then do we even? It's not like we have solved the problem and we know that crypto is a challenge. We haven't solved the problem. Crypto has come. Crypto hasn't solved the problem. Why are we blaming crypto? You get where his argument is going. So it has become this. We have built something.
And I like the point that you make, that money goes beyond the physical thing that we see. Because, for instance, somebody sends me 1,000 cedis, and then I make online transaction, I spend 500. So I never see the 1,000 cedis. I bought Uber, I pay with mobile money. I go here, I pay this. I never see the 1,000, I still lose the 1,000 anyway. Yeah. So what's the essence of the money now?
The essence of it is that if you didn't have it there, you couldn't have boarded Uber.
The whole thing is that what Uber is doing is Uber is helping you to move from one location to
so he has provided a service
without your legs getting tired.
Oh, so that's a service right
So
there.
that is why he will collect your money.
And he has put a value on that service.
Yes.
Okay.
So number one, before he charges you, a car was purchased. Okay. Maybe somebody invested in the purchase of the vehicle. Okay. Another person also puts fuel into the car.
Okay.
So he also collected some money as value for the fuel being executed.
Yeah.
You know. So all those things come together to
create a certain kind of value.
certain kind of value chain.
Okay,
and then now you are charged maybe 40 or 50 or 60 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
For that Uber, you boarded.
Interesting. All right. So viewers, we are still on the hindrances to fruitfulness. And I've seen your comments here, so I'm going to go through it, and then we would go on to the main point that we want to address this evening. Okay, so Emmanuel Kobnanwama says that double coincidence of wants, a key challenge with the barter trade system. All right, he goes on to say that, okay, the same thing. He goes on to say that Reverend Fred Adam Smith Abo. Reverend Fred Adam Smith Abo, my father. I love this. All right, he says, Pastor David, money must be generally accepted and a legal tender for it to be money. That legal backing and general acceptance is what makes it a measure of value and a medium of exchange. We, the people, have to accept that this is our medium of exchange and the law must back it. All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Komnanwa. Please keep your comments coming as we go on with the discussion. All right. So, Daddy, let me ask you this now. Now that we've established the whole fundamentals of money, so one of the points that you made in your sermon is that the ideas that people have about money, that is money the ultimate goal in life. So how does it hinder us, and then the perception that people have about money?
Okay, money, as to whether money is the
ultimate goal in life.
Yeah. No, I did make it clear that money isn't the ultimate goal in life, because Jesus brought a better measure in life compared with money. And that is the soul of man.
Okay.
So in the view of Jesus, the soul of man is the ultimate.
Okay.
You see, so Matthew 16:36. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Now, we are talking about if he shall gain the whole world. You're talking about the wealth of the world. You're talking about the American economy, 20 trillion economy. If you can gain the whole of America, it means you are worth 20 trillion. We've not talked about the wealth of China.
Yeah.
We've not talked about the wealth of Japan. We've not talked about the wealth of Germany. We don't talk about France. We've not talked about UK and all those things. Now, it says, what shall a man gain if a man shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So have we considered the comparative analysis that Jesus was making?
Okay.
That the whole world, he's not talking about Community 20, he's not talking about Tema. Okay. He's not talking about some of the glamorous houses, he's not even talking about the Jubilee house in Ghana. You know, he's not talking about any of these things. He's talking about your soul.
Wow.
So a man's soul is worth more than all the riches of the world.
Interesting.
So why should money be the ultimate aim in life? The ultimate aim is the soul of man.
But it is very confusing. After all the big things you've said about money right now, you are saying that the soul is more important than
Yes, the soul of man is more important than all those things we've measured.
The soul of just one man.
Yes. We're not talking about
just one man.
Not the entire population.
No.
Just one man.
Yes. In exchange, today you have people going to the devil to exchange their soul for Sakawa money so that they can drive. They'll be able to drive some second-hand cars. They'll be able to drive some few second-hand cars around.
Interesting.
They are not even able to enjoy life because there are stringent measures and caveats. There are a lot of caveats in the lie. You know, Satan doesn't really give anything.
Yes.
He takes more from you than what he gives you. So at the end of the transaction, you will end up being a loser. So he takes your soul, and then he gives you some money to be used for some few home use cars. And you think you are a successful man. You see? Yes.
That was really painful.
And you think you are a very successful man. You are not even an entrepreneur. You are not even powerful like... I don't even want to mention somebody. Bill Gates is too big. Bill Gates can buy a nation.
Despite?
Yes, you are not even as big as Despite and Co. You know, and you've gone to sell your soul. Even after selling your soul, Satan doesn't give you to be as rich as Despite. You see, and then you can add Proverbs 11 verse 20. Really Proverbs 11 verse 28.
Oh my God.
He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch. So if you put your trust in your riches, the amount of some people look at the bank updates, what they have. They are in their room, they are lying in bed, and then they look at bank update and they are smiling and they are very happy. And they don't even care that there's somebody he has been negligent about following up for Jesus. There's somebody in the corner that he's been negligent in following up to ensure that the person is rooted in Christ Jesus. And you are sitting there and you are enjoying your bank update. And somebody is perishing. Are you wise? That's why the Bible says that he that wins souls is wise.
Wow.
Yes. You see, a soul winner is wiser than a rich entrepreneur who doesn't know Jesus.
All right. Daddy, thank you very much. Now, so many thoughts are coming into my head. So, Pastor Fitz, now, this same money that Daddy has established that is our soul, even a single soul, is more valuable than the whole worth in the universe. Now, if you don't have it in our society now, you are less than nothing. It looks like nobody, you pass by and it's like a shadow. Nobody even recognizes that you pass by. But if you have it, you carry a certain kind of power. So it's putting like an antithesis in my head. How is it so? Is it related to the Bible saying that the love of money is the root of all evil? And then how does that one to mean? And if our soul is really more valuable than money, how is it that if you don't have it, you feel so worthless?
So everything has to do, like we say, value. You know, when people are chasing money, it just has to deal with value. And I'm not saying chasing money is a bad thing.
Okay.
But don't make it your ultimate goal. Never. You must have ultimate goals which have sub-activities. You know, if you are developing a strategic document,
Okay.
you have key management goals or key priorities that you want to fulfill. Then under those sub-priorities, then you have things to support the key goal or to help you achieve the key goal. You know, so part of the goal of a believer should be that souls must be won.
Okay.
You know, so it's part of your agenda. If having enough money so that you can give to others, that's why Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 4 that let him that stole steal no more. You know, by working with his hands that which is good may have and will be able to give to others also. You know, so
Wow.
then now part of your goal is that I need to work hard, you know, to have enough so that someone else can also, you know, I can give to someone else who needs it. You know? And so these are some of the things that we need to look at. So as key goals. And so when people start, you know, just because I want to have a lot of money and show everybody that, yeah, I got a cash, I got a dough, it means absolutely nothing.
All right.
What is important is that you have key strategic goals in your life. So, for instance, as a parent or as a father or as a mother, you know that taking care of your children is a key strategic goal for you. Okay. You know, because you already understand that part of the job of a parent is to bring up godly offspring. You know, so now what do? You use your money to buy and to purchase things like education, buy your children Bibles. You know,
okay,
make things such that they can also become useful in the hands of the Lord. So that's a strategic goal.
Okay.
Another strategic goal can be that I want that when I'm going to church, I want to be able to carry other people to church with me when I'm going. So that means I can't always be requesting taxis. That's also okay. If you don't have a car, it's okay to also pick taxis for people to go to church.
Sure.
You know, but then also getting a car is also a great idea.
Yeah.
And so you could buy a bigger car with
it makes you more efficient.
Yes. You know, so sometimes when people want things, they just want things because it is a nice thing. Like, I have an iPhone, it is a cool device. Charlie, some people have passed that stage. It's not about it looking cool or not looking cool. Something must be done. Something must be achieved. And this thing can achieve it.
Okay.
And it is in line with what the kingdom agenda is. And so you align yourself to it. So if you get a device, you are not getting a device because you want your swag to be up. You are getting a device because it is fulfilling some strategic agenda.
So the whole thing is a means to an end. It's
Yes,
not
and
the
the
ultimate.
end must be in
It's not the
God.
ultimate. Okay.
The end,
and the
the
end must be in
Yes,
God. Okay.
the end must be in God.
Okay.
So then, now, like Jesus says that where your treasure is, that is where your heart will be also. In other words, Jesus has given us the key to how to direct our hearts. People think that when I put my heart there, then my treasure will go there. No. You can force your heart to be at a specific location. You can. You can force it by where you put your treasure.
I see.
Yes. Is the theology of where your treasure is. That is where your heart will be also.
So the reverse is not necessarily true.
It's not necessarily
So
true.
where you put your heart, your treasure will not necessarily be there.
Well, so Jesus is trying to show us how to put our hearts in the right places. In other words, and mind you, this is what the scripture said. I think if you read Matthew chapter 6, it says that store your treasures up in heaven, where moths and rust and thieves cannot break into. But if you store your treasures here on earth, then all these other things apply. Okay. So if you store your treasure in heaven, it's like that. That's why Paul says, set your affection. In other words, it's not like you have to do things to set your affection. People think that you just love God because, I'm sitting there, I feel like I love God. No. You demonstrate, so if you love me, keep my commandments. Wow. So in other words,
be able to love. That's why I always say that. I start trusting people when they start getting money. When they are very poor, I don't know whether I know the person.
It's like poverty can humble people.
Oh, poverty can mask. It will mask a lot of things. Let the person start getting money. And let the person, and then see whether the person will be very on time, come to church on time. He will still be following up souls. He will come and clean. He will come and even dust, chairs in church and all those things after he's got money and he's got his own car.
Okay. Wow.
But not that now after he's got money, he walks in like a celebrity. That's why when people don't have money, I don't even know whether I know him. So I'm waiting for you to break through before
then you would be able to.
I'll decide whether I know you or not. To my brother.
Yeah, thank you. So these are thank you, Daddy.
So this about to say that. What about the poor people who are already arrogant and
think their situation is hopeless.
It's a hopeless.
They might as well just die.
So like I was saying, we must have key goals. The key goals override every other thing.
Okay.
So if I become it doesn't matter whether I'm a trillionaire, a millionaire, or a thousandaire. What matters is your wealth is what you are able to invest in. Wow. So if I'm truly rich, what am I investing my money in?
Interesting.
Because having money in a bank is just zeros. It means nothing.
Nothing. What if you die?
What if you are dead? You have nothing.
You have nothing. That's true.
So true wealth is what you have been able to execute with what came into your hand.
Wow.
And so your ability to show love, somebody needed something, you were able to provide. Those are the true riches.
Wow.
And so that's why sometimes God finds it difficult to trust some of us.
I always tell people, I like to use myself as an example. I always tell people that I gave out 2 cars to church work before I bought my first plot of land.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't have to become rich to start giving. We have a proverbial saying, as I grow better.
If we are not.
Yeah. All right.
I know when I can see somebody who, when the person gets blessed, will bless the kingdom so much. I can see them. I know them. And I can see them from a distance because I've walked through that path before. You know, I gave out 2 cars before I bought my first plot.
It's not really
And
about
so far,
what,
I've given 4.
it's not really about what you are holding. It's about what you are willing to.
Yeah.
to
It's a heart issue.
It's a heart issue.
You see, we are in like a big theater. We are just acting out. And the Lord is watching us.
Oh.
Yeah. The earth is a big theater. We are all just acting out. He knows us and he's watching us.
Wow. All right.
And he knows his own. Yeah, he knows his own.
Okay. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Pastor Fitz. So, Pastor Nikwe, so with what's Daddy just made a very strong point that this whole issue that we are talking about is about the heart.
Yes.
All right. So when is riches? Now, when we are talking about riches, from what we have established, it's not just about the money you are holding, your treasures, your investments, the things that you've built, and then all your talent, and then all. When is it able to siphon the word from the believer? When is it able to create a certain kind of authority in the life of the believer that it takes place, it replaces the word of God in the believer's life and prevents the believer from bearing fruit?
This is a very, very, very powerful question. It's like a multi-question.
Amen.
But I like something that Paul says. So let's go to 1 Timothy 6. Let's read from verse 3 to verse 10. And I like how Paul says that if a man teach otherwise and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Lord Jesus Christ, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness, he said he is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words. So Paul is making a point about what people accept as the word of Christ. You see, strife, whereof cometh envy. So that's where envy is coming from, because you are not listening to Christ anymore. You are beginning to accept something. You are taking words and twisting it to suit yourself. He says strife, railings, evil psalmisms.
Okay.
Next, he said perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that
gain is godliness. Wow.
So now they've twisted. This is what we call. Is it? I've forgotten the word, but it's something human. Something. It means when humanity becomes the happiness of man becomes the goal of life.
Like hedonism.
Yeah, similar. But I think they call it humanism or something like that.
Okay.
So it's like now. So now the end.
Epicureans
Also have that. So now the end
pleasure
of life is human pleasure.
Okay.
So even when God comes into your life, God is supposed to make you happy.
Interesting.
You see.
Okay.
So now God is so, and one man of God puts it very wonderfully. He says that the church he said the church deviated so much that now we even started teaching that Jesus came to die so that you can go to heaven, so that you can be happy.
So the end is man's happiness.
The end is man's happiness. He said, supposing that gain is godliness, from such withdraw thyself. Next. But godliness with contentment is great gain.
Interesting.
For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Next. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in distraction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil.
Okay.
Which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
Interesting.
So you see where Paul started building his case. It always begins when man decides that his end, what his pleasure, is the end of everything. But that's not it. The end of man is the glory of God.
Yeah.
Simple.
Oh, right.
The end of man is the glory of God.
Right.
So, what then do we need money for? Paul said that food, raiment, shelter. If we have it, we are fine.
It's the totality of.
It's the totality. That is why you are doing. So, whatever you get becomes a means to an end. What is the end? The end is that in the end, God is glorified.
Definitely.
That you follow Christ. That your life is fashioned after Christ. But because these people want to eat their cake and have it, or have their cake and eat it, they decided that they would rather allude to a certain goal and try and take advantage of the word and twist it so that then it becomes, and this is where a lot of theologians have a problem with prosperity gospel, what they call prosperity gospel.
Okay.
That God came to make you rich. You see, it's like you teach. Now wealth is taught as though is the end. You see, not the means. Of course, God promises us great riches.
Sure.
And we will see a lot of that. I'm sure in the course of the conversation we'll see a lot of that. But he didn't come to die so that we'll be rich.
Okay. So when we misplace that priority, putting ourselves first before the glory of God, that's when the shift comes.
Yes.
Is that where the problem is?
Like Pastor Fitzgerald was saying, the treasure, your heart. So where is the treasure right now? The treasure is not where is your heart? Because where the treasure is, that's where your heart
is.
So if you are putting the treasure, now the treasure is more focused on your well-being, your pleasure, which means your heart is in yourself. You are more concerned about yourself. You are more concerned about who you are. But you should know that you brought nothing in this world, and you will definitely take nothing out. And it doesn't even belong to you in the first place.
It's like,
to add to what he just said, one of the greatest horror movies I see it to be like an epidemic. It's a horror movie. Is to stash money in heavy bank account. We've not planned to die young. Nobody plans to die young. Yeah. And we have very good intentions for the kingdom. That tomorrow we'll do it. So we are just, and then we even depart and we've not done anything for the kingdom.
Like the rich man who built a big man to store food.
Yes. The Lord called him a fool.
Interesting.
So we have to have a redefinition of who a wise man is. One of the definitions has been given already, that he that wins souls is wise. It's one of the greatest wealth creation.
Yeah.
Investing in men for the kingdom.
Oh.
We are just caricatures, doing caricatures. We just, a lot of us within the faith or within the church, we are just fooling. And we just fool with our lives. We are just fooling around. And we are not very productive. As far as the kingdom work is concerned, we are not productive. And we are just fooling. You see, it is time we realize that the means that we have is to enable you to what? to enable you to draw men from hell into the kingdom. Yeah. You see, so he puts wealth into our hands. He puts and he will put great wealth into our hands so we can do it.
Yes. Wow. Like Daddy was saying, and purpose is fundamental.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's purpose, and your purpose as a believer should stem from what God has said concerning you. You know, so like the scripture says concerning Jesus that in the volume of the book it is written of me to do your will. You know, so generally speaking, that is the key thing, that what are you doing? You know, are you just there, you are just pregnant? You know, what's the vision and the plan for your kids? You know, you should know that the Bible says that children are like arrows in the quiver of a righteous man.
Wow.
You know, and he will shoot it where he desires. But if you don't understand this, then you won't be able to even appropriate your wealth in such a way that the Bible also says that a righteous man leaveth an inheritance. Of course, the inheritance is not just money. Inheritance is blessing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So all these things matter.
Interesting.
So a lot of times, you know, the whole thing is purpose. And if you realize, I think majority of the Christians in churches today, you know, they just want a breakthrough. I receive it kind of breakthrough. You know, I receive it 10 times and then they are happy. They come and they receive it, pray against all their enemies, and they go home. No purpose whatsoever concerning their lives. Nothing is being done. So the enemy, let me tell you, you can shout. I'm telling you, bet me came, sir. Oh, I bind you. The devil is happy that you are binding him and you are not living in your purpose. He's okay with. Once you are not living in your purpose and you are binding him, and you are receiving it in church, he's not even bothered. Like, the people the devil is concerned with are those who are living according to the purpose of God concerning their lives.
Wow.
And so he knows that those people who have aligned themselves with the ideals of the kingdom of God will use their resources properly. They will use their monies wisely.
Interesting.
You know, I don't know how many, I'm sure it has happened to many of us here, but where you are going somewhere, I can't count the number of times where, you know, I'm driving, I went to church, and I am broke.
Wow.
You know, when I went to church, maybe I had some money, you know, but by the time church closed, Charlie, the money is gone because somebody called for it, you know, and it has to go.
Interesting.
And, you know, so those are some of the things, you know, it all has to do with alignment, because the moment you understand that this is what is important and it is priority, and this must be executed. Maybe God has also called you that you should be paying people's school fees. But because you have refused to align, those people whose school fees are supposed to be paid are not being paid. And one day they are going to disturb somebody as an armed robber. Or they are going to one day become an armed robber. If God does not protect his servants, they will come one day and they will just shoot a servant of God.
Because of your disobedience.
So you are in the church, you are just shouting and receive. But you are supposed to pay someone's school fees.
Wow. Now this misplace of purpose of the things that we have reminds me of the video Pastor Fletcher posted on our youth page. And this music star in America is talking about the cars that she has. Suburban, Lamborghini, Ferrari. And then the guy doing the interview asked her that, but you can't drive, so why all this car? He said, oh, just to take pictures.
It's a photo booth. Yeah.
So now you see people flashing their iPhones and you ask them, do you even have a Bible on the phone? And they say, no, there's no Bible on the phone. Just to corroborate the point.
Who is stopping them?
So the whole purpose is lost.
It's serious. I was just going to add that to what Pastor Face was saying. This was an encounter I had with the Lord concerning these riches in prayer, and the Lord asked me a question. He said, "Are you rich?" And I couldn't answer because I wasn't sure.
if God asks you such questions, you better not answer.
You go ask.
You go answer.
It was a seriously it's a trick question. Only you know.
God only you know.
He said that by whose standard are you measuring your wealth? So, who is telling you that you are rich or poor? Who determines who is rich in this world? So okay, if you have a couple of cars and some money in your account, and according to Forbes and some few people, if you make $1 million a year, you are considered rich.
Okay.
$1 million a year, you are considered rich. So, whose standard are you? By whose standard are you rich? And I was quiet. And he said that all heaven's resources are made available to you. It is only based on how much you can take, which means that honestly, it is not that you are not rich. It is that you haven't taken. But why do you even take? Because if a child is born in wealth, he's always rich. Whether he lives on the street or he lives in the palace, when you see him, that's the king's son. He's rich.
Yeah.
He may not even be driving.
He may not even be driving. It doesn't mean that he's poor.
He has the backing of the kingdom.
He has the backing of the kingdom. So the issue here has nothing to do with whether you are walking or whether you are driving. It has nothing to do with whether you live in a castle or whether you live in a cottage. It has everything to do with what you are doing with your father's resources, because inadvertently one day you will still answer for it.
Wow.
God is still going to ask you. So all the resources that are made available to you, what did you use it for? You are still going to answer.
No, I will give some answers. Can I suggest some answers? I use some for fast cars. Yes, I use some for fast cars. Yes. I'm not saying having fast cars there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it.
So far as you've done what you are supposed to do,
yes,
and you want to have fast cars, that's your preference. God will not say don't have fast cars. Have you done what you are supposed to do? That's the most important thing. If you've not done what you are supposed to do and you are buying fast cars, that's your problem.
All right, so let me go through some of the comments and then we go to the last lap of our discussion. All right, so Joe Fletcher Avinson is saying that today is economics and finance Bible discussion. I'm loving it. Emmanuel Kobanoma says that money isn't the ultimate goal in life, quoting from Reverend Fred Abo. Dr. Gasabo says that a man's soul is worth more than all the worth in the whole world. Joe Fletcher Avinson says that one man's soul is more important than the wealth of the whole world, which was $360 trillion at the end of 2019.
Wow.
That is right now. I'm starting to think twice. They're so I'm telling you. So one soul is worth more than the $360 trillion. Interesting. Okay, he goes on to say that money should not be your ultimate goal, otherwise you can lose your soul. Thank you, Pastor Fletcher. Emmanuel Komranoma says that very powerful, also for faith. Dr. Nwatego says that money cannot get us to heaven. It cannot buy the experience, the benefits, and the infinite joys of heaven. All the money in the world cannot buy that. So why will I exchange my soul's enjoyment in heaven for money? That is why Jesus said that your soul is worth more than all the money in the world. Thank you very much, Dr. Tego. Emmanuel Komranoma says that the end must be in God, quoting from Pastor Fitz. He also says that set your affection on things above. Pastor Joe Fletcher says that true wealth is what you have been able to execute with what came into your hands. Thank you, Pastor Fitz. Dr. Nwatego says that the inordinate love of money shows some fundamental sins. These include selfishness, greed, covetousness, etc.
Yeah. Which 1 Timothy 6:10.
List them all.
Yes, verse 9 also mentioned.
Okay, all right. Emmanuel Kobanoma says that godliness with contentment is great gain. He goes on to say that very powerful also for Nikwe. Dr. Gathabo gives us Fire. Dr. Noah says that the relationship of a Christian to money is this. The Christian is like a bank that God passes money through to give out to others and for his kingdom. He then pays us some commission for ourselves. The more effective we are distributing God's worth to the people and purposes he wants it to be distributed, the more he passes money through us and the more commission we get.
Yes. So part of the commission can be a Lamborghini,
A fast car, and then a big house. Yeah.
A Porsche. There's nothing wrong with them, but the problem becomes when now
that becomes the sole purpose.
Yeah.
That becomes
the sole purpose.
And abase. Abound to his part.
So abound is part.
Yes, I've learned to abound.
And to abase.
And to abase. I mean,
there's nothing wrong in abounding.
abounding.
Reginald Dye says that our ultimate goal is for God to be glorified. Francisca Holdbrook Smith says that, what are you doing with your father's resources? All right, those are very powerful comments there. God bless you for bringing in your comments. Please keep on as we finish up with the discussion. All right, so that you addressed one thing again, the misconceptions about money in the kingdom. And then you said that people think that money is security.
Yeah.
Our source of security. Please, could you elaborate on that? So is money really a security for the person who owns it? And should he rely solely on the money to provide him that security?
No, I already read in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 28. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall. Because you've put your trust in the number of houses you have, in the number of cars that you have, in the fatness of your bank account. That's where you've put all your trust in. The question is that a wise decision? Because he said that he that trusted, so our trust must be in the riches of our God and of his kingdom.
Okay.
But he says that the righteous shall flourish. And so, just like what Jesus said, that where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So the question is, we already talked at length about alignment of the heart and our treasure. And the fact that we must make a conscious, that one is a decision, it's a choice. And it's a choice of the will. When it talks about where your treasure is. Somebody's treasure, I lived with a grandmom who she brought me to the Lord. And she was a very prayerful woman. And she was someone, she was averagely okay. She wasn't the richest. Within the family we had two people we could call rich. And she looked after them.
The two people in the family, that's the richest.
Yes, she looked after them. She looked after them like his own children till they worked. Even one of them, the first house he bought, she paid part of the money so that she could buy the house. Otherwise, he wouldn't get the house. So she paid part for him.
Wow. And
then later on, he became very rich. He had so many story buildings.
Wow.
Now, the other rich man I'm talking about, in Accra alone, he has about 26 story buildings.
Praise the Lord.
Interesting.
Now this my grandmom, her husband died very early. And she used her money, her resources to take care of a lot of family people.
Wow.
Even one of the children, I even mentioned the third one. There's a third one who became governor of the Bank of Ghana. He's still alive.
Interesting.
Yes, he was the one pounding fufu for her. became governor of the Bank of Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to mention the name.
Yeah.
At least he has signed Ghana money before.
He's signing Ghana money.
Yes. And, and we are talking about my grandma was someone who every day she was a deaconess in the Church of Pentecost. And every day, she sleeps and wakes up around midnight and prays till 5 a.m. every day. When she was alive, some of the days I tried to march along with her, but I couldn't. What? I couldn't. And those were days. Those were the times that I was around 19 years. And when I was around 19 years, by age 19, I'm talking about I was somewhere in lower seas. In lower seas, I fasted for a whole year.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was eating in the evenings. And those were the times I was praying 5 hours. Those were the times I learned how to pray for 5 hours because I learned it from her. So if I said it's prayer time, then we are going for 5 hours.
that when you say all these, new question coming to my head. So whose measurement are you using for riches? When you say someone is rich, well, look at a woman like your grandmother, who didn't herself have all this, but look at the people.
Yes, and she built, but the house she built is not anything to write home about.
But when we are talking about wealth, the people
and I was in a hurry to finish university to come and build for her. She died when I was in the final year.
Oh.
But I still fulfilled my mission to build. Then I used it to build for my mom.
Wow. Interesting.
Is it so and I made sure that my mom had her own house, 3-bedroom, fully furnished, before I came and
live in your own house.
Finish my own house. because that was my priority. Wow. My priority was not myself. It looks like when I was young, I took a lot of wild, somebody would say a lot of wild gamble. I was giving cars to ministry work. At the time, I hadn't got my first plot. But I knew God was going to prosper. Of course, such a person, God could not fail such a person.
Definitely. And we are blessed to have you as an example.
Yeah, so sometimes I share some of these things for us to know what is possible.
Yeah.
To know that it's not a superhuman feat. And it's because I learned from somebody. I'm a third-generation believer. My grandma was the first generation, and then my mom, and then me. So I was a third generation descendant. So I feel that I had an advantage in life. And that's what enabled some of us to be able to do some of the things we did. I look at some people today, they can't even share, when they have two things, they can't share one. They can't give the other away.
Interesting. All right. Thank you very much. We are glad to have you around. All right. Yeah. Pastor Faith, you people have managed to answer all my questions before the conversation ended. So, in closing, what do you tell our viewers, especially the upcoming youth, our generation today? People would open their legs just to be given an iPhone. People would go all lengths just to, to be called a guy.
Why in between is there a factory there?
Candy shop.
Is there what?
Candy shop.
Some people would go to the extent of sacrificing somebody they love just to earn money and then all that. What message do you give them?
Well, I don't know what to tell them. And I know that Jesus has something to tell them. At the end of the day, Jesus was presented with the ultimate test. When the devil took him up a high mountain, and you can reference that in Matthew 4, verse 8. And the devil showed him the glory of this world, the kingdoms, the glory that was in them. and said, worship me. In other words, honor me, revere me, and I'll just give it to you. And Jesus says, get thee behind me. It is only the Father who deserves worship. Wow. And he will be the only one to get my worship. In other words, nothing else will be worshipped. In other words, money will not be worshipped. None of these other things that we treasure so much in this world will be worshipped, except the Lord God. And so, like Jesus told the enemy, this is what we need to do with our lives, is to worship God with every fiber of our being. Every. Underline the word every. It means that your body now becomes the temple of God. So now you know that that temple cannot be abused sexually. He that is joined to the Lord, is one spirit. The scripture also says that when you join yourself to a harlot, you are one with the harlot. And so you cannot engage in harlotry. You can't give your body to the enemy. You can't give your mind to the enemy. You can't give your heart to the enemy. And you can't give your soul to the enemy, no matter what happens. And so at the end of the day, know that it is precious. And Jesus gave his blood. That was the value he placed on your soul. Wow. To purchase us, And so we must live our lives in honor of the sacrifice that he meted out for us. So this is my message, that Jesus offers the best payment. Jesus offers the best payment for our souls. And so, let's honor that payment. Instead of honoring something that is not worth. Like Jesus says, it's not worth your soul. Nothing in this world, iPhone, whatever, all of Bill Gates' money, is not worth your soul.
Thank you very much, Pastor Faith. Pastor Nico, your word before you close.
I honestly, I think Pastor Faith has said
has nailed it.
Has nailed it. For me, it's like he said, there's nothing that's worth your soul. The only thing I can add is that if you want something, be responsible for it. Okay. There's always two ways. There's the good way and the bad way. And the bad way will never, you see, it's darkness. There's never a good end to it. It will always end bad.
Of course.
You can't take it and then leave it when you have to pay. You will pay for it. So just follow God. Just follow God. God has given you access. God has given you everything. God has given you his word. Follow his wisdom. Follow his instructions, and it will end well with you. If you follow the pride of life and the lust of the eyes and the lust of the flesh, you end up with lust and worms and darkness and evil nature and all those things that you don't want. But if you follow God, he has promised you that he will give you everything, and everything by his son. Yeah. It's good enough. Yes. It's good enough.
Wow. Thank you very much. God has promised us to give us everything through his son. Pastor Joe Fletcher says that it's great to have a living example like Reverend Fred Abo. God richly bless you, Daddy. Emmanuel Kobnanoma says that Jesus offers the best payment for our souls. Pastor Fitz. Wow. All right, so Daddy, in closing.
let's read Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Verses 5 and 6. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he had said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. You see, so it says without covetousness. When we talk about covetousness, we're talking about anything that you have to stretch yourself to attain, that you have to compromise, that you may need to compromise on life, you may need to compromise on value, you may need to compromise on standards to be able to attain it. You see, so that's how people err. And then they go into error. So anything that you have to stretch yourself beyond the normal, beyond your standard, the standard set for you in Christ, that you have to compromise through stretching, that in order to reach out, be careful. Be careful.
Word to the wise. All right, so God bless you so much for staying with us. My life has changed within this 1 hour, 30 minutes period. And I know that you have been blessed too. So today we had on panel Pastor Nikwe Batimios, we had Pastor Fitzgerald Abu, and then we have Reverend Fred Abu, and then I was your host, Pastor David Owusu. Join us on Sunday as we come your way with another powerful service and a powerful sermons from our own Daddy. God bless you. Have a great evening. And remember, anything that you have to stretch beyond your capacity, be careful. God bless you. Pastor David here from Tehillah Generation Chapel. I want to invite you to our youth program this week from 22nd of September, that's Tuesday, to the 26th of September. The theme of the program is Project Man-Child, and we are hoping that at the end of this program, you will grow to the measure and the stature of Christ. Join us, invite a friend, attend the programs, and be blessed. See you there.